Welcome to the Startempire Wire Founders Podcast, where we make entrepreneurial founders a top priority. Each episode features risk takers, business builders, community shapers, institutional and government supporters in our local startup ecosystem. Tune in weekly to hear all about what's happening with the movers and the shakers of Southern California's Inland Empire and beyond. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Founders Podcast. Today we are with Zef from Be a Maker Club. We're going to let Zef introduce himself, tell us about who he is. Then we're going to dive in deep into what Be a Maker Club is and how you can benefit from it. Zef, welcome to the podcast, man.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So, tell us who you are. Who are you? Give us your introduction.
So my name is Zef. I am the founder of Be a Maker Club. So a little bit about where I come from. So I actually was born and brought up in India. Nice. And then I lived in the UK for well over a decade. I taught at the University of Leeds at the School of Design as a professor. And then I moved to sunny California, where I started a business before this in the education space.
Yes.
And right now I run Be a Maker Club, which I founded. I founded Be a Maker Club really because of my daughter, who was 8 years old at the time. She wanted to learn how to use a 3D printer and a laser engraver because I joined a makerspace and she wanted to call me daddy. But it turned out there wasn't a place where kids could do it, where they could. And so Be a Maker Club really started very organically. And if I'm honest, it started really because of the pestive power of my daughter.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. She kept saying that, because, like as a parent, you go, well, is this the thing that she really wants to do? Or she's just,
right.
So I started, I took her to a craft class and a STEM class, but she'd always come back and say, well, I really have an idea that I want to make my own idea.
That's
and as
so
somebody
cool.
Somebody who taught design, I had to really acknowledge and accept that that's what she wanted to do.
Wait, 8 years old?
Well, yeah, she was a strong-willed 8-year-old.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
that's how Be a Maker Club started. So it wasn't really, it wasn't a specific plan.
Right.
I started to help her, and then she started making things, and then took stuff to school, and she was going to this Montessori school. And then all the kids in the Montessori school saw it, and they started coming for play dates. And all the play dates just ended up being in my garage. So I was like, hey, maybe, and you know what?
Great.
If I'm honest, it was one of those things that I was like, I'd worked with adults. I taught at college.
Yes.
And everybody has an agenda. And I think one of the things that really struck me about what I was doing with these kids was it was so much fun. I think the very few times in adult life where you think, hey, this could be something I just love so much, and I'm doing good, and potentially we can make money out of this. It seemed like in my head I was thinking maybe this is one of those things.
Kind of a perfect intersection too. Yeah.
Yes.
Man, that's great. So when you first became an entrepreneur, first experience, what sparked, even before Be a Maker Club, as you were growing up, what sparked the idea that, hey, one of these days maybe I want to start a business?
Oh, well, I think, yes. So that spark was, I think as a kid. I started, I've been buying and selling, trading things.
Yeah.
As a kid, I've done stamps. So this is all in India, right?
Yes.
I do stamps, coins,
nice.
Art. I mean, I've been always entrepreneurial. This is actually technically my fourth business. I had a fairly successful business when I was in college in India. Then one in the UK. Then the one before this in the US, and then now Be a Maker Club.
What kind of businesses were those?
So the very first business I started was a retail business. Buying clothes. At that time in India, we didn't have a lot of big brands.
Right.
And so I sold clothes which were technically called export surplus. So these were Western brands that were rejected by the buyers and that sold in the local market. And yeah, I mean, that was like one of those naive things I did, and we make profit by the second month. That business actually ran for 12 years.
Wow.
So it ran without me. You know,
Man,
I
that's
emigrated to
great.
the UK, and it was a very successful business
That's
actually.
great. Did you sell it?
Yeah, I kind of, well, I handed it over to relatives.
Okay.
Yeah, because
They take care of it still.
yeah, they take care of it. But now they did wind it down because
Okay.
India is now very different. Like there's
Right.
you buy
Okay.
things now that you couldn't buy when I had started the business. So
Oh. Okay. Cool. All right.
this is still, we're talking 22 years ago. No,
22 years.
24 years ago. So
Wow.
it's a pretty long time.
Yeah.
That was my first business. My
That's
second
cool.
business was also in clothing.
And
It was
clothing.
an online retail website in
Yes.
the UK.
Okay.
We made and sold niche t-shirts.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like funny, quirky t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first experience with technology. I'm a design person. I've worked in clothing production,
Oh.
fashion accessory design. I've worked in factories. That's what my
So
background
like
was.
the fashion realm, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
primarily like consumer products is what I would really,
Consumer
but
products.
not so lifestyle consumer products. Bags,
Okay.
shoes, purses, and so I got interested in like this online business, and it was it was a great experience. Like it was my first big brush with trying to figure out how to do technology, and this is in the UK. I actually hand coded our first website.
I was gonna ask you, yeah. Did you code any?
Yeah, it was such an interesting experience
Yeah,
to be trying to do that.
that's cool.
Yeah, it was a great learning experience. So yeah, and then the third business. So then after that, I actually taught in university.
Taught in
And
university.
I
Okay.
got fascinated with education.
What
after
did you
the
teach?
university, It was, say again?
What did you teach?
So I taught fashion and business.
Fashion and business. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then I became a professor, or the term, what my official title was, senior lecturer in, oh no, senior teaching fellow in design entrepreneurship.
Wow. Which
That,
school?
that was a school of design at the
School
University of Leeds. It was part
University
of
of
the Russell Group, which is, I mean, for lack of a better term, an American equivalent would be, it was like Ivy League. So there's like 11 Russell Group universities
Right.
in the UK, and this is one of them. It's actually a very old
I've
university.
heard of the University of Leeds for sure.
Yeah, it's
have.
I mean, it's amazing. It's a really old university. The School of Design building was actually one of the first buildings
Wow.
of the university. I think it was like it was at least 150 years old, I think. The building itself. So long history.
Yeah, things over there, they laugh. I mean, they.
Very Harry Potter-like. I mean,
Right.
friends of mine who came from the US, especially our building, was like, ooh, they had these spires, and it was very pretty.
Yeah, one of my friends is in Oxford. He just graduated from Oxford, so I'm like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no. That was the UK was interesting. I definitely enjoyed my time there. Leeds was a very pretty city. One of
Okay.
the few industrial cities of that era that actually had parks in the city.
Yes.
Whereas like a lot of the other cities around that time were fairly built around the factories and stuff, so they're kind of a little bit grimy. Compared to
Oh,
that, Leeds is
like-
very, very pretty. Like
Okay.
like imagine like 200-300 years ago, somebody planned it out with parks in the city. It's
Right.
very unique.
That's so cool. The Inland Empire startup ecosystem industry is tremendously fragmented. A few top-tier hubs, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego, are well covered by media, events, and data platforms. Finding reliable information relevant to startups or the tech industry in the Inland Empire is extremely difficult. As a result, startups can't scale fast enough. Investors are having a hard time finding the right deals, and corporates can't find the right companies to partner with for their innovation activities. Startempire Wire, the leading Inland Empire startup publication, is providing the Inland Empire startup ecosystem with the most accurate, engaging business and financial data, events, and news. Our reach of entrepreneurs, C-level executives, angels, VC investors, startup employees, key management at innovative corporates, and big tech is the solution for your B2B or B2C needs. As we build out our platform, we're looking for partners. This is your opportunity to get in on the ground level. If you're looking to align yourself with the local and growing startup and tech ecosystem of the Inland Empire, we have created the platform to get your name noticed and the opportunity for you to grow the recognition of your brand. Contact us today for availability and pricing options. We look forward to our partnership with you. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit more about Be a Maker Club.
Yes.
Let's get in depth with what you guys are doing for young makers.
So we're kind of getting young makers excited about
Yes.
computer-aided technology and computer-aided manufacturing. So
Okay.
I'll refer to them as CAD and CAM. This is actually CAD and CAM both have been around for a very long time. It's
For a long
almost
time.
20 years or so.
Yeah.
But like anything else, they're specialized. People use them for CAD specifically is used for creating products and architecture,
Right.
the landscape. I mean, there's a few different applications of it.
Yes.
But with the growth of additive technology or new manufacturing technology like
Yes.
3D printing,
3D printing.
the
Yeah.
relevance of CAD, the design portion, has increased dramatically.
Yeah.
In the best way, I would, and I've heard this in another podcast, so I'm gonna just borrow from them. They kind of referred to the 3D printer as the sewing machine of the future, in the sense that I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, like we had a sewing machine in our house, right? And every 5 or 10 houses, there was at least one female member who had access to a sewing machine. So it was a hobby, it was an economic activity, you could be creative with it. So it's almost like that. I kind of feel like I'm a big Star Trek fan, a geek. So it's like the replicant. Right?
Oh, like the replicant. Yeah, it's true.
It's I mean, we're not there yet, but it's sort of like somewhere along, from the sewing machine.
It's similar because you can bring those concepts that you've got in your mind practically to life by, going into CAD, creating it, and then 3D printing it, slicing it, and then 3D printing it.
Yep. And I think the other side, what really excites me about what we're doing is that, the fact that I'm teaching younger kids is a coincidence, but but why that's more exciting is because I also realize that the things that I think of making are not as exciting, in the sense that I try to make useful things because I'm an older person, and I kind of, I grew up when my mind's already jaded, in the sense that I think of it like, oh, this is cool, I can make something slightly different. So I'll look at the existing world, and I'll be like, oh, I can repair, I can improve this.
You're so right.
Yeah, but with these kids, it's like, if they start with like, this is the way to make things, I mean, implications are enormous. So one,
that's huge. I never thought about it that way.
Direct STEM skills, like they get it's predicted that the 3D printing additive industry is going to impact manufacturing significantly. It already is, actually.
It already is.
It's changed so many sectors. I mean, here in Long Beach, in Southern California, there's a company that's 3D printing rockets.
Yes. What's the name?
Relativity Space.
Relativity Space. Yep, I saw them, and I'm not sure if Elon was 3D printing cryogenic tanks. No, maybe he wasn't. Okay, I'm not sure, but I have to go look at it.
No, yeah.
For the Starship, the cryogenic tanks for the Starship. I don't know if he was, but no, it was a different process. My bad. Yeah.
No, it's a different process. But I mean, the it's conceptually, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And
houses, right?
houses. Exactly. That's what I was going to come to. I went to the LA Tech Week meetup. There was Azure Technology, Appispore, and Mighty Buildings. Two of them California, one Florida-based company. And I mean, what they're doing is crazy. Like,
it's crazy.
Conceptually, like it's changed. And I think the implications, because I come from clothing and manufacturing, I've seen big supply chains. So
yes.
I mean, the implications of working in this way can fundamentally change things. One, I mean, what I'm concerned about is equity, in the sense of, I started this because of my 8-year-old daughter.
Right.
And research is showing that girls get turned off by middle school towards STEM, and manufacturing is not seen as a women's career. But really, this is a great way to get them in there.
Right, just make it available to them, right?
Right, because having technology access encourages you to think and create.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
And that's kind of, and I mean, that's what our business is also. That's where I'm kind of sticking to this. It's actually a really big ship to turn. I realize that, and I'm trying to take small bites.
Yeah.
And I think if I started this with a business plan, I don't think I would have stuck to it, because
I can sense you're passionate about it, for sure.
Yeah, I think every day, like obviously, like I see what's happened to my kids, and I have a son.
Yes.
He's 10 now, and I'm kind of bringing these anecdotes because they completely illustrate my point. Like when I was 10, I was transitioning from writing in pencil to writing with ink pen. That was my capacity of technology learning. Yeah. My son has learned how to make, like he makes replica Tesla trucks.
Oh, that's cool.
RC cars, and he's 10, and he can. I can't do that. And the only reason he's doing that, I mean, of course, with me he has access, but his motivation is he likes those trucks, and I've said, well, give it a shot. And the fact he has access has helped him. I don't know enough to even teach him. He's learned it by himself. And so now that we work with so many kids, I've seen that we've had kids who become entrepreneurs. I mean, this one girl, a homeschool girl, she used her enrichment funds to do our classes. She makes $2,500 over Christmas.
What?
Yeah, from stuff that she makes.
That's so great.
So I mean, I think when I was that age, I know, right? This was not even in my, like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like these guys. So anyway, I mean, my whole point here was that I really do think that older people, it's great. Like we're driving all this, but our job should really be
empower to next generation.
Because these guys don't have imagination boundaries like we do.
Yes.
And honestly, they're going to do so much more. I mean, this can address the supply chain issue. It can address job creation, economic, but also it can affect climate change, right?
Right.
Because currently a lot of stuff is made and shipped.
Yeah.
And there's economic issues there, but there's climate issues there, resources. I mean, the ability to make, once you have that, it can transform a lot of things. And so all the things we try to move the needle on, just empower the next generation. They're gonna do it. Like we don't even need to tell them. It's just they'll be like, what were you guys doing? What were you guys thinking? Like,
No. All right. So Zef, with that said, the kids are the ones who are gonna really help this technology break out of the box. Tell us about, like from when you first started Be a Maker Club with your daughter, to today. Tell us about the growth of your startup, and then maybe even some instances where you saw these kids create some cool stuff.
Oh yeah. I described that the business started fairly organically, not with a proper business plan and all of those things. But when we first got the physical makerspace, I think we were quite lucky.
Awesome.
A local nonprofit called Project Think. And Dr. Warren, who runs it, I think they've been around for like now 42 years or so. They've been running a summer enrichment program.
Wow.
And so Dr. Warren, I think her grandson was with my son or something like that, right? And we just started talking, and she said, "Well, what do you think about doing a summer program with us?" And in my head, I was like, I mean, I'm like, I don't have a plan anyway. This sounds like it's
Right.
fun. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. And
That's
I
awesome.
basically I started saying yes to a lot of the things she asked for, and then trying to go back and figure out how to deliver. But we had like a hit on our hands because that camp, or it's not a camp really, it's an enrichment program.
Uh-huh.
They had about 450 kids every year in the Claremont colleges.
Yeah.
Full day residential program.
Okay.
A massive team. So I kind of like, went from, hey, what am I doing? Like, I mean, I had a general sense.
Yeah.
But I was working with adults and then just reworking and suddenly having to deliver this massive group of kids.
You got dropped right in the middle of it.
But it was so much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That year, the kind of graduation project for that program really impacted our growth. We basically made a boat.
Okay.
That the kids then raced.
Oh, that's cool. So 3D printed it?
Partly 3D printed, partly
and then
recycled with bottles, electronics. So again, lots of
Arduino or
no, it was more mechanical. So it wasn't
mechanical.
like so we're trying to teach basic electronics.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so we didn't because a lot of the boats sunk.
That's cool.
But so I'm sort of explaining how the program sort of evolved, and we kind of then my focus then very much became how do I facilitate more and more kids to make. And being an academic, I started delving into the research of like why we make and the human side, interest in all of those things, and that really helped us scale.
Yes.
Because what I started to focus on in our pedagogy was sort of the experience that I was trying to deliver to these kids. Because a good example would be like if you told the child, right, I'm going to teach you 3D printing. They'd be like, I mean, kids are kids. Or if you say, I'm going to teach you CAD. Yeah, I'm going to teach you CAD. They'll be like, what? I don't want to learn CAD. Like, because they don't know what it is. But if you tell them, do you want to make something, for example? Like, I have this anecdote describes this bit perfectly. Like, this is a 6-year-old boy, first time in our in-person class. So I normally started to ask, like, what do you guys want to make? So he was like, I want to make a rocket, sit in it, and go to Mars. All in this 1 hour class. All in this 1 hour.
Oh, 1 hour.
Right now, of course, as an adult, or you'd go, dude.
Right.
Like, how's that even? But by then I realized that I need to not use my adult brain and shut up.
Take the logic off.
Yeah, and so I said, great idea.
Yeah.
So we get them to focus and be excited about their idea. And what so the end of the anecdote is this child ended up making a small keychain that looked like a rocket.
That's so cool.
So I was like, I asked him, dude, what's going on with this? Like, you wanted to make. He's like, oh yeah, I have a plan. I was like, what's your plan? He's like, every class that I come to, I'm just gonna make this bigger.
That's cool.
But the point is, he learned.
Yes. That is awesome.
Yes. Right. So once I kind of figured that out, we came up with a term which we call motivation cliff.
Okay.
And so but after we kind of figured that piece out, we really started to grow quite rapidly.
Yes.
And so 2018 to early 2020, just when COVID hit, when we stopped doing in person, we worked with close to 7,500 students because we did really large events.
Yes.
Like in this one school, one time we did a 3-hour class with 150 students.
Wow.
All of them learning CAD and 3D printing.
That's so cool, man. Oh my goodness.
So we kind of developed systems, and I kind of leveraged my background. We kind of, split them up into different sections and basically go to each table and work. And so we started doing these really, really big events where there was like, in Orange County grounds, there was a STEAM event called Imaginology.
Imaginology, okay.
Yeah, in the where the fairgrounds are here.
The OC Fairgrounds, or
the OC ones, but also here close to where
Claremont McKenna.
No, in the oh man, it's the
event in mind.
Yeah, it's called the STEAM Fair. I have a banner right there. So in these events we'd get upwards of like 3,500 kids, and we had like a system where the kid would start, create a design, then they would actually see it being fabricated, and then they'd take it away. So they would make
on the spot.
on the spot, right? So that's became our, and what I'm saying is that focus on like a hey, I have this idea, and
Yes.
whoa, it's in my hand. Like, the whole replicator. Because
Yes.
what I started to realize in the motivation cliff idea was this, that when somebody has an idea and they get a fabricated, a physical object in their hands, that's even like 1% like their idea,
Yeah.
they're not going to let go of the idea. They're going to keep coming back. So our deliverable became, and I think that was our secret to our success.
That's good. Yeah.
Was keeping people excited about their idea. Because the reality, what I'm actually, funny enough, I'm not that great at DIY. It takes me a long time to make things. And I persist though, because I love the making part of it. I love the fact, like this treadmill thing that I just described to you.
Yeah,
where this is the trash and we built this table.
Yes.
I mean, the first version I built, I did my first meeting and the whole thing just fell down.
Oh, no.
So it was kind of awkward. But
Right.
the thing is, I had that idea in my head. That
Yes.
I want a walking treadmill for my height, right? That's
Yes.
the idea that I wanted to persist with.
Right.
And most people, that's the thing, we're excited about our own ideas, and kids even more so. And that, I think, became the secret to our pedagogical model that I wanted to preserve. And so we focused a lot on that. And we try to push our format. We did birthday parties. We did parties in the park with a portable generator.
That's cool.
I was just like going all crazy with like
all over.
Like,
that's great.
If somebody came to us, I was like, yes, we can do it, and then we'll try to figure out how to do it.
You know what? That's perfect though. I think when opportunities start coming your way, if you say no, it's kind of stopping the flow, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
But it also helped that I was having fun. I mean, this was like, I think I mentioned earlier, this was like my dream job.
Yes.
People with wild imaginations, trying to make all the crazy things that they could dream of.
Right.
And make some money with it and hang out with kids, my own kids as well.
Right.
I mean, like when as an adult do you have such opportunities, right?
It's I know it's few and far between. Okay, so tell us about the pivot. You were saying you guys were making a pivot.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I'd say, to be honest, by 2020, I was getting to a point where I was like, okay, this looks like it's working as a business. We had some contracts in place. We were selling our services in bulk to organizations like the City of Riverside, City of Ontario, Project Think, with a couple of other, so we do after school enrichment activities. So essentially they were buying in bulk our service, and then we'd come and deliver, right? Very kind of simple model.
Service model, oriented.
Model. And then we had a van and a trailer. And so when we could take the devices to them, as required. And because we had this fairly successful model, and where I am with as a community makerspace, so I had a lot of support from the makers there as well. So it was a great combination. And except, so by 2020, I was focused on the business. We're closing contracts and that, but then 2020
March
turned upside down, so things happened that I hadn't planned. Really March is when the schools announced their closure. We obviously had a big program planned with Project Think, and so that was our biggest so that's when a pivot started happening. At that point, I don't think we considered a pivot. It was just like we had around that because normally around 450 kids were enrolled in the summer program. In that year, we actually had close to 600 because we had another contract with another nonprofit as well.
Okay.
So we had close to 600 kids.
Wow.
And they had nowhere to go. And when he contacted a lot of these parents were like, fortunately, these were in slightly higher socioeconomic brackets. So a lot of the parents actually came back to us and said, look, we don't care about the refund.
Right.
I don't know what our kids are going to do this summer because are we all going to sit at home? And so Dr. Warren and I...
Oh, man.
So Dr. Warren was like, Zef, can you do something? You've always done something with something. And I was like, okay, let's try to figure this out. Fortunately, we had, because we were doing all these big programs, we had like lots of laptops.
Yes.
So what we started to do, so where I am right now, we have a small like fabrication makerspace, right? So we have about 8 3D printers, for example. We have CNC machines and we have laser engravers. And so what we started to do is try to do Zoom classes, and we'd put each laptop in front of each printer. and try to, I mean,
Right. Yeah, no, whatever
I
to
didn't
make
know.
it work.
I'm
Yeah.
honest, we didn't. Every time we did a class, we were like, "Oh, that didn't work. Let's try this." That's pretty much what we were doing.
Right.
But the cool thing was, I think everybody is really tolerant
That's cool.
of all the mistakes we were making, and parents were like, some the local parents were coming to pick up stuff, and then after a while, I was like, "Hey, I mean, this seems obvious. We should try to ship stuff." And so then we started investigating that. The problem though was really that making things is about the physical experience. So when you get something in your hands and you just had the idea, so how do we keep that chain uninterrupted was a big problem. So and with the devices like the laser engraver and the CNC carving machine, there's a lot more to the physical experience. Like you can, like kids, especially the laser engraver, for example, when we did it in person, the kids would pick up the piece and smell it.
Ooh, yeah, that's so true. Such a different experience.
This is like campfire. And then we had kids squabble over who's gonna vacuum the CNC bed, because when you vacuum it, it's like a reel. Right. And so with our philosophy of keeping their excitement alive, those, specifically the CNC and the laser, didn't work out quite as well. And so we started to focus on in fact, what I'd say definitely the big thing that we realized is with 3D printing. 3D printing traditionally, if you start to print big things, is slow. Like it's super slow. Level. It's boring, like watching paint dry. Right. But we it's with this current situation, we liberated something. Nice. So what we started to see is kids were printing bigger things now because they didn't need to be there in person. Oh, wow. So our process in 2020 became about first trying to so I just 2020 was more an experiment. Right. By the end of 2020, we were like, okay, we know sort of how to teach online. Okay. By keeping the enthusiasm alive, like letting the kids not fall off their motivation cliff. Right. Then from a business point of view, things got weird because while 2020 was great to be online, 2021 summer was not. Because everything got relaxed, and nobody, including my own two kids, didn't want to do anything online because they were forced to do online burnout, right? Yeah. So by 2021, despite the fact that we really worked out how to teach online, we now didn't have a big audience. All of a sudden, all the kids were like, can you do something in person? And you got so much more competition too, because if they don't want to be on the site, they're going to go to YouTube, or they're going to go, play a video game, Fortnite, Right. And so it was a real head scratcher. Plus, I didn't have my staff members in. So it wasn't like I could just sit around for a year. We're still a small business. Like I couldn't sit around, pay for a year. Nope. And then all of a sudden go, now we're going to start offering it again. Plus things were so uncertain. Like some of my instructors refused to teach in person. Because, there was a lot of... That's right, because of the COVID lockdowns and everything. Yep. No, I get it. So there was so much uncertainty. But what sparked off my imagination was, look, I think the other problem that we addressed with the mobile, because of our model, I know that we did large numbers because we took the devices to them. So what, I guess the itch that I was trying to scratch was like, what if we could make this a virtual makerspace? How would we do that? And is it possible? Because I felt like we'd nailed down the teaching side. Right. So delivery of CAD software, how to teach that part we nailed down. Got it nailed. I know that we were able to do that very well. Yes. And then I was like, how do we execute on the fabrication side? And so I started looking into that. So, lots of remote fabrication models existed. Yeah. So we were just trying to copy some of those, but with an education twist. And so I think that kind of brought us into 2022. And I also by then figured, hey, maybe I need some help. So fortunately I got accepted into a few different, I'd say accelerator type programs. Yeah. Okay. So the first one was a pre-accelerator program called Founders Boost.
Founders Boost. I don't
Yeah,
think I've
and
heard of it. Yeah, but
they were really great because they helped me. I guess they helped me focus. Like I said, my business was just I was
Right.
reactionary, and so they
Yes.
kind of gave me a bit of a structure, and it was
Very
more
cool.
like fill in the blanks, and I was like, okay, so this stuff I need to work out and
Yes.
stuff like that. So they're a pre-accelerator, which means they prepare you to get into an accelerator.
Okay. Okay.
And so they were great, and they also helped us with like doing the legal side of our business, changing our business structure and whatnot.
Nice.
And that was really
Getting
valuable.
ready to possibly
Scale.
accept funding.
Except
one day.
funding and scale, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Like what do you need to do? What do you need to be prepared for?
Right.
Again, I knew these. And the funny thing is, you can read about all of this stuff academically, but somebody
Right.
helping you while you're making the decision is a completely different ballgame.
It really is. I think accelerators are great, and pre-accelerators, they're
Yeah.
great.
And so I got into that one. Then we got into so we still had the education part. So then we got into a really prestigious one from the USC School of Education, the Rossi.
Wow.
And that was a very ed tech focused program.
Nice.
So they were like very much like, how do you solidify your pedagogy? Now,
Yes.
of course, I had done it more again organically, just because I had the audience, right?
Right.
And
Experience. You had the experience.
right, but they validated it in the sense that
Yeah.
I kind of like what the great thing was. I was like, okay, so I actually did stuff correctly.
That's awesome.
but somebody like somebody who
Right,
had
with
extensive
a lot-
research and
Yes.
I got to hear from other edtech founders and how they're using technology.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
that's also kind of maybe made me a little more ambitious
Confident. Yeah. Probably confident and ambitious, huh?
in my approach.
That's cool.
Yeah, you know what? I think this could actually help me address a bigger problem because,
Yes.
like I explained, we had the problem of access that we addressed, but it was for a very small audience. And then
Oh, right.
with this sort of digital pivot, we could now even go bigger. And so we start testing this out. We went on the different marketplaces like Outschool, and we did a few different, like I want to say 6, there's a couple of other places. We just to experiment and see what happened. And what was funny is we started to get students from all over the US. And we actually got like Canadian students. We actually got some students from the Middle East. We even had
Wow.
like 2 kids from India who were staying awake in the night.
That's cool.
So I was like, wow. So
That's
so
really
again,
cool. Yeah.
really good validation.
Mhm.
By the way, we also got into another accelerator program. So all of these gave me different things. We got into something called Plugin,
Plug-in. Okay.
which was social impact focused.
Okay.
And so that kind of also, again, helped me flesh out the philosophical underpinnings of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I want to make money and I want to run a commercial business, but it's always nice to maintain what impact we're
Yeah.
and so I wanted to figure out, like, I didn't want to run a nonprofit. I didn't want to become a nonprofit.
Right.
So these like programs really kind of helped me fill the experiential and knowledge gaps that we have.
Cool.
Then I started looking for like new members in my team. And
Yes.
so we recently actually had a new addition in our team.
Congratulations.
Her name
Yeah.
is Maxine. She's actually remote.
Yeah.
So she actually lives in Michigan.
Oh, wow.
She used to work in car manufacturing. And I'm
Yes.
just kind of giving you a sense, like this is somebody who would not be on my radar as somebody who I could bring onto my team. So she used to work in
Wow.
car manufacturing,
Uh-huh.
building cars and trucks, right? Then became a STEM and robotics teacher, an award-winning one. I mean, she's like, all over the
Wow.
there.
Yeah.
And now she's doing she's finishing up a master's in computer and data science.
Oh, that's great.
So this is not somebody I would have even considered working if it was not for the accelerator programs, because they exposed me to like how we could set up maybe a remote team, how you could structure that, and this person is so perfect, right? They have all the right experiences. They've actually
Did you connect with her through the accelerator? Or
no, I actually connected with her through one of the EdTech community groups that I learned through the accelerator.
Through the accelerator.
Yeah, like it
Kinda
opened
like
up,
a little
opened
third.
up.
Right.
So so I would have never worked or even considered working with her, right? Because I just didn't have that that system in place or that
Yes.
mindset in place.
The mindset.
And so
yeah.
that's very exciting. And now we're looking to take on somebody for doing technology,
Yes.
like building out our core tech. And that person's again remote.
Yes.
And it's actually going a lot better than I expected.
That's great.
So
No.
so some of these things we were not considered. So that's now helping with our scale. So where we're at right now is we built out the I'd say like we've run our fourth pilot. So the first two
Okay.
pilots were in person.
Yes.
2020, early 2021 was our second pilot, which was online,
Yes.
and we revamped it with both a teaching and a fabrication module.
Okay. Okay.
So that was pilot 4, which I felt
Pilot
was
4.
very successful. We saw like a 20% re-enrollment,
Wow.
and
20%. That's
yeah,
pretty
20%
big.
re-enrollment.
Yeah, that's huge.
And we haven't done any formal marketing, just our existing group, and so all the enrollment is organic.
Organic.
So clearly we know like we're doing something proper.
yeah.
And
Yes.
so now we're using all of that learning, and we're going to be relaunching our platform called Magic Learn, which essentially
Magic Learn. I like the sound of it.
yeah, it's good. It's good. So we're calling it the Magic Platform.
Okay. Oh, the Magic Platform. Okay.
Yeah. So we're trying to transform how like the principle is still the same. We want to keep people excited about their ideas. So like I said, I call it the motivation cliff. So
Yes.
one of our products is called Magic Dad.
Magic Dad.
All it lets you do is take a picture of an object
Okay.
and find its 3D model.
That's cool. Wow.
Yeah. And so again, it's like you have an idea, you want to see if you can make it, right?
Yes.
And so the easiest way is like if normally the way you do it right now is I have an idea, then you have to talk to somebody or do lots of YouTube research to figure
Right.
out how to turn it into a 3D model. But with this, you don't have to.
Wait,
right?
so will you guys have a database of 3D models that is searchable according to image?
We do have our own, but there's also several public ones.
Oh.
But the people who use them are people like us. People who already make things.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas we're dealing with people who have ideas, but
And they-
don't know that they can make things.
Okay, so I'm thinking you're probably going to have machine learning somewhere in the
Yeah,
equation.
so there is, yes. It's a computer vision app that recognizes objects, and then we do a search, and
Yeah.
there's some proprietary mix of
I
stuff.
love it,
but
man. This is great. You just blew my mind. Whole interview. I'm like, I didn't know you were doing this much in the tech side. Anyway, I get a little enthusiastic about tech. But
Well, no, I love that because honestly, I didn't know I was going to do that.
that's cool. So
And I think that's what I'm trying to say is like, I'm really glad that
yeah,
this was not a planned business.
yeah.
If it was, I don't think I'd be in the position I'm at right now
Wow.
because I'm just excited about this stuff.
Mhm.
And as
Yes.
I'm excited about it, and I have kids around me with no boundaries on their imagination.
Yes.
If you ask them, so like basically, this whole idea came out of talking to our not my kids, I mean just our students.
I'm putting kids on my advisory board. Okay.
You should.
Yes.
They have no filter. They
Yeah.
have no limits to what you think is possible.
That's so good. Okay. I love
I mean, they are so valuable, right? And honestly, like I
yes.
said, this idea came from them because I kept asking them, "What's stopping you from like making more things or designing more things?" And they were like, "The software is boring." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, actually, it is." Like,
It is.
No, you don't think that. So every
No,
meeting
you don't think about it being boring. You're just like, what do I have to do to get it done? Right?
right. And so, yeah, and it's
Wow.
like I said, it's amazing, right? Like,
I love it.
you ask the person who's using it, and they look. I to be fair though, simple solutions are very complex to execute.
Wow.
So-
Yeah, right.
Fortunately, we've really I went back to my academic training, started to really do a deep dive into how we can execute on this.
Yes.
The research, the technology, we have a product development plan. We've actually managed to pitch this to actually the defense because we discovered a use case.
Department of Defense. Department of Defense. Wow.
Well, actually the Air Force.
Oh, the Air Force. Okay.
specifically them, but there are larger implications here.
Right.
Again, this is the reason I'm bringing that up is because
I mean, from what you described, I could see so many applications, and yeah, I could see how that you could, present something for defense as well.
yeah, because they have the same challenges in the sense that they have invested heavily in additive, like they have advanced 3D printing machines and stuff. But every time they have to make a model of something, they have to call the guy who knows how to make it.
Wow.
Whereas with what we're doing, they could go straight to print.
Right. Yeah, no, it's well, I mean, the computer vision combined with the artificial intelligence. Well, are you going AI, or are you just going to do some machine learning?
Well, it is machine learning right now.
Machine learning. Okay. Okay.
I mean, I don't think the AI models are there yet.
Okay.
And certainly we don't. Honestly, we don't have. We're still bootstrapped.
Right. No, yeah, that could
get and revenue
expensive. So, yeah. Right.
Hey, we land the funding, we'll do that. And I mean, to be fair, we are. That's one of the reasons we're looking at the defense application, because the model that they're providing is that if you have you have a piece of technology that has commercial application, but then you need the funds for R&D, and it has essentially building something that's dual use.
Yes, yeah.
So they will fund the development process, and then we can create it's a great fit for what we're trying to do. And so
have you heard of the SBIR?
That's the program.
Okay, cool. That's what I was about to say. Like, you should apply for that.
Yes, it's an SBIR phase 1 that we've applied.
Okay. Cool.
Fingers crossed. We've gotten some buy-in, but again, I don't know if you'll get it. To be honest, I really hope we do.
Well, keep us updated, because we post a lot of news about startups here in the Inland Empire, and if you get it, we will announce it for you. That'd be great.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, and so you can kind of see how we've now become like the pivot for us, very much like keeping our user in mind.
Yes.
How do we keep them excited about making? Because the basic principle of what we're trying to deliver is if you have an idea, we want you to have all the tools you need to be able to attempt making the first version of it. Because the way human psychology works is if you can achieve even step 1, even if it's not exactly what you want, for a new person, suddenly they feel empowered. And they go, look, I had this idea in my head, and now I've made this thing. So that means I can if I keep working at it, I can make more. And so this is, like I said, my academic brain kicking in. I know the principles of pedagogy. So that's what we're focusing on. So the tech we're building is to enable that. Wow. That's also where a social impact agenda, all of those overlaps, you can kind of see. All kind of fit in.
That's so good.
Fortunately, we have a great community around us of makers who buy into this. A lot of maker spaces are nonprofit, community-based organizations.
Right.
So this works very well with the culture. We just did an event at Maker Faire, Orange County.
Maker Faire, okay.
This was last week, and I was able to talk to other maker spaces, other makers there, just sharing with them what I'm thinking of doing, and there was a lot of enthusiasm for this. Cool. Because they're makers, and anything that helps other makers, I can see that this community is very excited by. So that's a big.
So tell us about your next in the next 2 months, you're trying to accomplish probably quite a few things, but what are 2 short-term goals that you can state for us here on record, maybe top priority, that you're trying to accomplish in the next 2 months?
Sure. We're doing a beta launch of our Magic Learn platform. Which is
that'd be awesome.
Which should happen actually in weeks rather than months. But again,
fingers crossed. Yeah.
So that's just the more slicker version of what we do, which is a one-on-one match with a expert tutor.
Okay.
And so this is something we've already tested. We're just launching one with a better feature set, to make it easier for students to connect. We also have so we were onboarding about 25 tutors with this launch. And so that's what we've been working in the background. So that's like a big move that we're doing.
Yeah.
And the second thing that's going to have actually a test launch is going to be our product called Magic Search, which is just it's a help tool for makers here in the US.
Okay.
To understand, like get a basic orientation of what making is, and find the closest physical in-person makerspace.
That's cool. I'm seeing a theme: magic, Harry Potter, replicator. Is there? Are you gonna be rebranding yourself at the company anytime soon?
Well, you can see the heavy influence of elementary age imagination.
Yeah, I love it.
So I always go back to 5 to 6 year olds and ask them, what do you call this? And they were like, it's like magic. It's like, that's it. What? So we found a domain name.
Oh,
that was a really cool. It's just magic with a K.
Okay, with a K. Okay.
Yeah, but
hey,
creative
that's
license.
like isn't that the English spelling of magic? Like, no, maybe it's CK or something back in the day. Old English.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But creative license, and I was like, hey, this sounds good, right?
Yeah, it does.
I went with my instincts on there. The children's imagination has served me well so far, and I'm
cool.
rely on them.
All right, so tell us about your future goals. Starting at 3 years, where do you want to be? 5 years? And then 10 years. I know.
I would say those are just real pie in the sky type of things. But
I know they probably will be, but
we fortunately I described that tool earlier. So we're going to be launching Magic Cat, which is our object recognition tool. So essentially, it's object to 3D print. We call it like our access to a factory on your phone, right?
That's cool. Yeah.
So within 2 years, that's going to be like up and running.
Yes.
And I would say like the parallel to something like this would be we want to try to do for 3D modeling what Canva has done for graphics.
Ooh, yeah, that would be cool.
We want to introduce a whole bunch of creators to the idea of making physical objects, and kind of want to become like, we want to empower a pool of creators so that they are inspired to learn engineering and maybe use all the sophisticated CAD software like SolidWorks or Autodesk and Onshape.
Right.
Become like the creators who are advancing in those areas. So I think that's what our goal is. If we're successful in our SBIR funding, we will still continue to be bootstrapped.
Yes.
At this moment, we're actually not raising money because we really don't. We don't need it. We're
right.
We're making revenue.
Right. All right. So that's 3 years. 5 years.
Oh, I no, that was I kind of was
that 3 years.
That was three. I guess that was a 3 to 5 year answer. I can't even imagine.
Okay, what would you break into 5 years? Think. Let's put a stake in the sand somewhere.
Oh man, that's. I think we definitely one of the things we're doing is we're partnering with nonprofits and social service organizations.
Okay.
So what really I'd say definitely a 5 year goal would be to begin established as a flywheel for making.
Okay.
So the users come to us through these organizations.
Okay.
We delight them with our digital tools, and then we connect them to expert and factories.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, the big one. 10 years.
10 years? Oh. Well, to be honest, I think we are in a transition phase with manufacturing right now.
Okay.
People at the advanced side of engineering and creative production, they're using digital tools. So additive is changing. It's already changed dental industries. It's changing medical. It's going to change food. It's already changing how houses are going to be made, rockets, all of those. So a lot of the advanced engineering production capability side has already been changing, right?
Right.
So I think in 10 years, what's going to happen is it's definitely, I'd say 45, 50% of manufacturing, which is multi-trillion dollar global industry, is to be impacted by this.
Yeah,
right? So
I believe so
we
too.
want to be, so we want to be sort of like, I would say like a third stage player, in the sense that you have manufacturing, then you have the actual physical facilitation of manufacturing, and then you have the people who learn to use CAD. So we would like to be the trainers for those guys. I'd say that's really my 10-year plan. I mean,
that's a good.
Everything is made. Like everything we have is made, and then we're gonna get to a point, like I said, where a lot of this stuff can be made through additive manufacturing. And so we want to be the guys who want to help those people. I'd say that's. I feel comfortable saying that as a 10-year plan.
I think that's logical too. That it makes sense in my mind. Oh, so where do people find you? What are your URLs? How do they get to you on the internet, or maybe in person?
Well, the easiest way to find us on the internet is our website. It's beamakerclub.com. So 4 words: BEAMAKERCLUB.com. beamakerclub.com.
beamakerclub.com. Social media is all the same as well?
Everything is the same. All the handles are Be a Maker Club.
What about like investors? Would they connect with you directly through your website or on LinkedIn, or what about those people?
So most of them could just write to me directly. Zef at beamakerclub.com. That's how I've been getting investment queries. So again, my first name, ZEF at beamakerclub.com. And that's the simplest way. I respond to every email.
Awesome. Zef, thank you so much for being on the Founders Podcast. I really appreciate your time. Is there anything final that you want to tell our audience? Like any last word?
Yeah, and this is something I think about every day now. I didn't realize how natural it is for humans to want to make. Ever since I have started making, the reason I'm in love with this business is because it doesn't seem like I'm doing work at any time. Wow. I mean, there are frustrating bits and stuff, but I would encourage everybody to make anything they can, even if they do crap. It's such a great stress reliever. It feels empowering, and honestly, we need to start making stuff by ourselves again. And I think that is what's going to change the world for everyone.
I call them passion projects, right?
Yes. Work on your passion projects.
I love that.
No matter how, don't think of the big thing. Don't think of, hey, I have this idea and I'm going to make this big thing out of it. Just do something. Like take step 1 or take step 0.01. Doesn't matter. I would say just do that.
Because you gain this momentum, right? That first step gets you a little bit of encouragement to take the second one, right?
Definitely.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard Zef from Be a Maker Club here on the Founders Podcast. Be sure to get in contact with him through either his email, Zef at beamakerclub.com, or just, go visit the website directly. We put these podcasts out every week, Tuesday and Thursday. If you're listening to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, please subscribe there. Like our podcast and give us a 5-star rating. If you're on YouTube, click the bell. Make sure you like the podcast, click the thumb, and share it out to at least 3 or 4 friends. Once again, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Founders Podcast. We'll be back next week. Have a great day. Peace.
Thank you.